Good evening, my name is Karen James, and this is the hour for the highlights on the peace accord in Oka yesterday. Tonight, we report on the peace accord signing ceremony among political parties and candidates, a landmark event designed to ensure a peaceful, credible, and transparent election process. With great pleasure and a sense of civil duty, stakeholders from across Anambra State gathering at the Peace Accord Arena today for the official signing of a peace agreement ahead of the state's governorship election. The ceremony, organized in collaboration with the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), the Internal Party Advisory Council (IPAC), and the Nigerian Police Force, was aimed at promoting transparency, fairness, and non-violence before, during, and after the polls. Delivering the keynote address, the chairman of IPAC emphasized that peace, though abstract, translates in practical terms to serenity, law and order, goodwill, and non-violence. He called on all political stakeholders to uphold this principle throughout the electoral process.
Period of the Anambra State gubernatorial election coming up on Saturday, November 8, 2025. It is in recognition of the importance of this election that INEC and political parties have deemed it expedient to enter into this peace agreement with a view to making the election free, fair, and credible. It is also in line with this that we of the IPAC, in exercise of our duties, have decided to offer some pieces of advice aimed at making that peace is realizable. Peace, as we may be aware, is abstract with a wide spectrum of meanings. But for the purpose of this function, I shall narrow it down to a few practical terms to it: tranquility, serenity, law, order, freedom from interference, non-violence, friendship, goodwill, and equanimity. We enjoy all the gubernatorial candidates, political parties, security agents, INEC officials, and the electorate to operate in concert in achieving all these peace prerogatives. The electorate. We appeal to our enlightened electorate to maintain an atmosphere of serenity, tranquility, and non-violence, shun all forms of inducement. Security agencies. We urge the security outfits to maintain a high level of professionalism in the maintenance of law and order, refuse to be used as agents of intimidation or harassment. INEC officials. You are the umpire and the pivot of all whole electoral process. On your shoulders rest fairness, smoothness, credibility of the election. It is imperative that you achieve these feats by plugging all loopholes, including but not limited to the following: making sure that the polling cubicles are spacious enough to enable the voter go in, thumbprint, inside the ballot paper into the ballot box provided therein, thereby curtailing the chances of inducement and vote buying. Employment of other regular security operatives like the Nigerian police and others of the federal establishment in the maintenance of law and order. Provision of neutral grants for collation of results where the local headquarters are to be used. Ensure that no political party or its officers influences the entry or exit of electoral personnel or material or the actual collation of the results. Gubernatorial candidates. All the peace accord and the electoral process will come to nothing if you are not disposed to accept the outcome of the election when it is free and fair. This does not imply that you should not seek redress if you are genuinely not satisfied with the conduct of the election. All I am saying is that you should resist the temptation of inciting your supporters to violence and destruction of public peace and unnecessary litigations. Instead, accept the outcome with equanimity and stretch hands of friendship, accord and concord. In conclusion, it is worth reminding you that Anambra State is the light of the nation. As such, its light shall reflect, radiate and expel all forms of darkness, of which fraudulent election is one. Thank you and God bless you. Chief Uche Ugo Joseph Ezo, the chairman, IPAC Interparty Advisory Council. And so that we brothers will not be fighting ourselves. We are brothers. And there's only one person that will win the election. So if the INEC help us, if the police help us in conducting free, fair and credible election, this accord we signed today will be effective. And we are brothers. And we tell you or we bet you that we're not going to fight ourselves.
The IPAC leader also issued a series of targeted appearance to the electorate. He said to maintain peace, reject endorsements and avoid violence. To the security agency to remain professional, impartial and free from political influence. To INEC officials to ensure transparency and fairness by providing secure polling space, controlling access to voting areas and ensuring that only regular trained officers are deployed for election duties. Meanwhile, in all related development, the Anambra State Police Command played host to the Inspector General of Police, Dr. Kayode Adeola Abatuko, PhD, MPM, as part of efforts to strengthen security coordination ahead of the governorship election in Anambra State. Represented by Deputy Inspector General of Police DIG Benjamin Okolo, the DIG and DIG Yakubu Kawazi, the Inspector General delegation was received by the Commissioner of Police Anambra State CP Orotugo alongside the AIG Zone 13 Odurukofia, AIG Abayomi Oladupo Peter and other senior officers. The IGP commended the command proactive strategies and stakeholders, internal agency senate and stakeholders engagement, urging officers to remain disciplined, apolitical and vigilant during the election period.
The Nigerian Police Force stands prepared to ensure that this democratic exercise unfolds under an atmosphere of absolute security, fairness, and public confidence. As the lead agency for internal security and election management, the Nigerian Police Force fully recognizes its statutory responsibility under Section 4 of the Police Act 2020 to prevent crime, preserve public order, protect lives and property, and enforce all laws with due respect for human rights. Our operations in Anambra are therefore a direct, lawful, and uncompromising implementation of that constitutional mandate. The force acknowledges the sensitivity of elections in a dynamic environment like Anambra State. We are not unmindful of the political, social, and security complexities that often define such contexts. Hence, the Nigerian Police Force has developed an integrated, intelligence-driven operational plan designed to prevent infractions, neutralize threats, and secure the election process from the beginning to the end of the process. This we will do in collaboration with sister security agencies. Let there be no ambiguity. The Nigerian Police Force and other security agencies that will be taking part in the management of election security during this election are apolitical institutions. Our allegiance is not to any political party, candidate, or ideology, but solely to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Any attempt to undermine public peace, manipulate the electoral process, or intimidate voters will be met with stiff, lawful, and proportionate force. We are resolute that under no circumstances would criminality be permitted to masquerade as political expression. The peace of Anambra State is not negotiable, and the integrity of this election will not be compromised. In strict compliance with the Electoral Act 2022, the Nigerian Police Force, serving as the coordinating lead agency, has adequately activated a strong multi-layered deployment plan under the unified command structure of the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security, ISIS. The Nigerian Police Force will provide sufficient officers and men who will be deployed to cover all 4,608 polling units, ensuring voter safety, ballot integrity, and the protection of election officials. The armed forces of Nigeria will contribute adequate personnel stationed at strategic tactical reserves along local government boundaries to respond rapidly to any large-scale security breach. The Nigerian Police Force hereby issues an immediate and total prescription on the activities, operation, or assembly of any non-state or state-controlled quasi-security formation during the election period. This includes, but is not limited to, the so-called Ibubago and other unauthorized vigilance outfits. This directive issued in strict concordance with the provisions of the Electoral Act 2022, particularly Section 91 Sub 1 and 120 Sub 1, which vests exclusive authority for securing public peace and maintaining order during elections in the Nigerian Police Force, and expressly prohibits any other individual or group from performing such security functions. Any contravention of these provisions constitutes a direct breach of federal law and shall attract severe sanctions.
As the Independent National Electoral Commission Chairman, I am proud to be part of this signing of the Peace Accord for Anambra State 2025 Governorship of Circle election. So therefore, I'm determined, I'm committed to ensure that this election is credible, this election is fair, and this election is free and peaceful. Of course, let me also say, as much as we are determined to make it a peaceful election, fair, free, and just, we can only succeed if we have corresponding supports from other stakeholders. And that underscores the import of this peace accord that we are signing today. Today, we gather in Anambra State, just days before yet another important governorship election, in which 16 political parties will be participating. As the election management body, I want to reassure all political parties and candidates that INEC will remain fully committed to discharging its duties in line with the law, global best practices, and the very principles enshrined in the Peace Accord.
Also attendants were CP Abayomi Oshogule, who is in charge of the Anambra governorship election, and other senior officers of the command. The event observed noted further strengthened the morale of officers as the states brace for one of its most closely watched.
We are gathered here for a purpose that rises above all personal ambition or party interest. The signing of this peace accord is solemn declaration that the peace, security, and dignity of the people of Anambra State must remain paramount. Democracy can only thrive where there is restraint, where there is respect for the law, and where human life is held sacred. Anambra holds a special place in our country, rich in heritage, leadership, entrepreneurship, and innovation. The conduct of this election, therefore, carries meaning far beyond the borders of this state. It must be remembered that as an example of maturity, fairness, and respect for democratic processes. To the distinguished candidates and political parties, today's commitment is not in words only. It is a duty that calls for discipline, honor, and responsibility. Leadership is not only in seeking office, but in safeguarding peace and ensuring that there is no life is put at risk. To INEC, we urge continued transparency and readiness, for the trust of the people rests greatly on your conduct. IGP and all security agencies, we appeal for professionalism, impartiality, and calm assurance. The purpose of security is to protect and not to intimidate. To the media, we appeal for reporting that informs and builds understanding, and not reporting that stirs fear or division.
It is my pleasure to welcome the IGP by proxy, the DIG Ben Okolo, to Anambra State for the election, off-cycle election 2025 in Anambra. I want to say that the plans for the elections has been concluded. The command has done all that needs to be done to ensure that we have free and fair security during this election. We have done so much that the deployment as per the Fourth Secretariat Directive is being implemented, so that at the end of the exercise, Nigerian police would be proud to have been part of the election in Anambra State.
My happiness that it is not every command that has the privilege of hosting these top-ranking senior officers. This event is not a command visit event. But like you know, we all know, Anambra just coming out from some form of seeming security challenges that the police have been able to overcome. And whether we like it or not, the Force Headquarters receive information about the command. They know things about the command. So I find it necessary that if the IGP is passing through here, I would want to, in quote, ambush him to come and see us, talk to us, advise us on what we are doing right, and praise us on what we are not, advise us on what we are not doing properly, and praise us on what we are doing properly. On that note, I want to thank the IGP's entourage and welcome you that we are going to, I promise that we are going to have a safe, free, and credible election. The officers and men have been properly trained, and your presence here again will boost their confidence and give them proper enough required information to carry out the task that is coming up on the 8th of this month. On that note, I want to welcome you once again. Thank you.
Saturday's governorship election in Anambra State, they're all my friends. Never mind this moment. I think the Rofo will end on Thursday. By Monday, by Sunday, we'll all go to in Thanksgiving. Maybe, I'm sure, as you see all of them seated, we'll all be impressing ourselves after Sunday. It's the Anambra way. We fight as if there will be no tomorrow. But at the end of the day, we'll get on to the next traditional marriage, embrace and share drinks and embrace each other as the case may be. So, welcome to this particular important event. I sincerely thank Bishop Kukah at the Kukah Center for initiating this national peace process, and the National Peace Committee headed by our former head of state. As this is my second time participating in this, the last time was at the Women Development Center, as Bishop Kukah said here, and 4 years ago. And I think reading through the wordings of the peace agreement that we signed, it's quite a very, very important addition to our democratic process. And we just hope that all those signs, that every word there, it means something, and it's something that we take very seriously. I always ask all who take oath of office and oath of allegiance under us in this government to go home and paste them in their homes and in their homes, and every week try to reread it. I think to my colleagues, what was the product of national peace, something that we should all go home, give to our various campaign teams, to our party members, internalize and go through paragraph by paragraph what we have committed to do, aside from the other things that committed under the Constitution, as the case may be. But what we have signed today, I take it as a sacred oath that each of us has signed onto. And I want to believe that as we go home, let's try to domesticate now the document that we have here. And, well, I congratulate Prof and INEC. Who have before, the outings of INEC in Anambra have been very, very commendable, I must say. 2020 wide use of beavers. 2021. There were hitches in terms of commencement, which was expected. But still, INEC assured us there was no problem. And we had the confidence. Even though, despite all the hitches, the election was still, I know I granted an interview by 2 p.m. on that day. I had not voted. I voted by 5:20 p.m. on that day, even though I arrived at the polling unit by 10:45. We sat it through. By 2 p.m. I gave an interview. I was still confident. And the process as set out by INEC, that even if 100 persons, this was recorded on national television, that even if 100 persons voted, that we were still confident to win. And that's exactly what happened. We trust the INEC process. We know you have developed very rigorous processes. The processes that have been deployed, I mean, INEC over the last few years, the general elections, the pre-run elections, the latest by-election in Anambra, virtually gone to give us the confidence that a free, fair, transparent election is possible. It's not just possible, it's something that INEC has over time now consistently delivered in Anambra. And we expect this time around nothing short. We expect that it will even be far better. Whether there are hitches, I'm listening to the chairman. I'm very delighted when you talked about the early commencement in terms of logistics, that the election will commence as advertised. Excellent. Once that is done, and the processes as you outlined, we're very eager to get all that you are addressed today, and I'm sure all the candidates would like to internalize in terms of all the processes. I understand tomorrow there will be stakeholder engagement, where some of these things will be dealt with even in greater detail. What we want to assure you on our own part is that we are ready. And I want to believe that my colleagues, the other candidates, are ready because we love this state. We like to collaborate and cooperate with INEC to organize ever. Its best election, the first election under Professor Joash Peter and SAN, and this best election ever. Because INEC has been getting better and better and better and better. And we expect that this one will actually take it even further in terms of transparency, in terms of due process, in terms of integrity of all the processes, and so on and so forth. I can say our rec is here. That's the woman who doesn't smile. You're not a smiler. Okay. And then appeal to the police. Thank you very much, DIG, for the for reassuring in the Anambra and everyone that the police and all the security agencies are ready for this particular important task. You are deploying enough men. We have 5,720 polling units. 5,720 polling units. And with the deployments and 326 electoral wards where you're going to have coalitions as detailed, and then 21 local governments, you have dual responsibility from what you have read to us. One is to secure the state, secure the entire space of the state. And second is to secure the electoral process. These two responsibilities you have laid out that you are ready. And as a state, we stand ready to cooperate and to assist in any and every way that we can to make that job easier and productive. And to all of us here, to our candidates, there was one plea that the INEC chairman made of us. Said they couldn't achieve the objectives without important stakeholder collaboration and cooperation. And I think, like I said at the beginning, if each of us commits to implementing seriously the terms of this agreement, if you are planning, anyone is planning violence, if anyone is planning rigging, if anyone is planning any other way that is not within the ambit of the Electoral Act and the INEC guidelines and the rule of law, as it were, please repent. For us, now I speak on both sides, as governor and as candidate. For us, our own commitment is nothing else but let one man, one vote count the votes, announce the votes. And we're ready to cooperate at all levels. My own political party, the All Progressives Grand Alliance, and the government of Anambra will have that commitment, and we assure you, we will do everything to assist INEC and the police in the onerous responsibilities. Once again, this is the light of the nation. Feel at home. All of you are guests, and those who are traveling back, we pray you travel back safely and come again and again. Except that now you're all wearing uniforms, ready to work. Otherwise, I don't mind taking some of you on swimming trunk to go to the fun city. So while you walk yourself out and find time to relax, you are in Anambra State, the light of the nation. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Election in recent history. As Anambra State moves towards November 8th, 2025, all eyes remain on the political actors, security agency, and the electoral to uphold peace and integrity, ensuring that the light of the nation continues to shine brightly through credible democratic conduct. I am Karen James, reporting for Pechili. Stay tuned for more updates on the Anambra election, peace accord, and security watch. Good evening. Thank you for watching and thank you for listening. Thank you. Bye-bye.